Okay. The Cuban Missile Crisis, 14 days in October, 1962. This is the closest that the world has ever come to all-out nuclear war. Why? So during this entire period, so we had the Bay of Pigs invasion fails in 1961. Cuba and the Soviets become very close allies, and the U.S. is flying spy planes over Cuba the whole time. And in 1962, they discover that in this one area along the beach in the northern coast of Cuba, there are ICBMs. So if we remember what that term means, intercontinental ballistic missiles. So with nuclear warheads on them. So you can launch a nuclear bomb with the same rocket technology that would send ships into space. Okay, pretty powerful stuff. Aimed right at the United States of America. And something about how the format and it's complicated, but the layout and the design and setup was the way the Soviets did theirs. And also, Cuba didn't know how to make nuclear weapons at the time. It was clear that they were Soviet weapons, and they were pointed right at the United States. And again, we go back to mutually assured destruction. If the United States attacks Cuba, the Soviets will launch against the United States. If Cuba attacks the U.S., then the U.S. is going to launch attacks against the Soviets, and it's going to go back and forth until nobody's left over, and the world is basically destroyed. So it's this showdown. Who's going to make the first move? Who's going to back down? Who's going to look bad? Who's going to look good coming out of it? At the same time, are we willing to risk destroying the entire planet? The good news is that neither Kennedy nor Khrushchev were, and Castro was basically taking orders from Khrushchev anyway. So here's a little map of it, where, if you can see, these rings right here are the types of are important. So let's take anything within this ring. If a bomb was launched from Cuba to Houston, Texas, it would only take 12 minutes between launch and explosion. Atlanta, this is probably 9 to 10 minutes. Okay, let's go to the outer ring, 15 minutes. Think about a flight to Cuba, probably takes about 3 or 4 hours. With the ICBM, 15 minutes to hit New York. Probably 12 or 13 minutes to take out the White House, if any of these things are launched. If we want to go even farther to Denver, Colorado, within 17 minutes. This is the kind of power that an ICBM has. And this is why they're so scary, because by the early 60s, the atomic bombs, the hydrogen bombs are getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and they make the atomic bombs from World War II look like nothing. Look like a spitball, I don't know. So, remember duck and cover? Well, you're not going to have any time. It's not going to matter with this hydrogen bomb. The entire city is going to be destroyed. So this is what we're kind of looking at. This is what Kennedy's facing if he risks attacking Cuba first. So he's got to convince Khrushchev, get those weapons out of there. Now, what's he going to do to make Khrushchev listen? Good question. Well, this involves information that you don't know yet. The U.S. had conveniently, since Turkey was a part of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the U.S. had missiles in Turkey pointed right at the Soviet Union. And so that whole 10, 15, 17-minute thing, same thing. And Moscow was right in range. And JFK's like, hey, we do have those missiles in Turkey, We can remove them, but we're going to do it secretly. But you have to remove the Cuban missiles first. And Khrushchev agreed to this. The irony here is that Kennedy had planned to remove them anyway, because they weren't that good. But the Russians had always kind of suspected them being there. So Kennedy, it was really kind of a really brilliant and clever trick he pulled on, and he came out looking like the winner of the Cuban Missile Crisis. So, yeah, after about 2 weeks of like the most intense like fear, and everyone in the country is like thinking this could be the last day. This is the last day of that our city exists, or like Washington D.C.'s not going to exist tomorrow. After a couple weeks of that, finally they come to an agreement, and the Cuban Missile Crisis is over. They have the first nuclear test ban treaty, which basically means we're going to stop testing nuclear weapons. Guess what? Both sides violated it. The first step to disarmament, so that means kind of ramping down the production of nuclear weapons. They didn't really stick to that one either, which was also good to protect the environment. But this is probably the most important thing to come out of that. Well, the most important thing is that the world was saved, but now there's going to be a telephone in Washington, in the president's office, or in the maybe not in the president's office, but what's the room on all those TV shows where they go and there's like all the screens and like where's the hostages, whatever. It's late, I'm sorry. But with just picking up the phone, the president has a direct line to the prime minister of the Soviet Union, because both sides are competing against each other in this Cold War, but they realized they came super close. And if I had more time to go on with this, I would tell you the story about there was actually a few shots fired here, but this one Soviet naval captain or submarine captain decided not to fire back, thereby preventing World War III, and I think he was executed when he got back to the Soviet Union for not following orders. Whatever. I can't go into those stories. There's a lot of really crazy ones here with the Cuban Missile Crisis. And then I'm going to assign this nuclear testing video, which is just sort of insane. Okay. That's it for Cuba, I think. Yeah. 1 year later, Kennedy assassinated. In my personal opinion, I think he could have been grown into one of the best presidents that we've ever seen. He had a rough beginning, right? The Bay of Pigs did not work out well. Berlin Wall went up, but as he became president more and more, he got better and better. He also advanced, again, he was slow in the beginning, but he then would advance civil rights. He worked with Martin Luther King Jr. to arrange the March on Washington, and then he was just taken, and he could have been one of the greats. Okay, that's it. I will come back. What's our next topic? Let's check it out. Lyndon Johnson. I think we talked about him already. Yeah, we're gonna get into the Vietnam War. Okay. Next up is the Vietnam War. See you then.